My hands were under a stranger's hood when the sky went wrong. Lonely highway north of Denver. Work lamp buzzing above a dead battery. Mountains black against the horizon. A man behind me talking too loudly into a phone that had no service. "You almost done, man?" I kept my hand on the battery terminal and did not answer right away. Some people ask questions because they want answers. Some people ask because they want a target. I had learned the difference early. The connection was loose. That was all. Not broken. Not complicated. Just loose enough for the truck to die and for the owner to look at me like I had personally offended him by taking more than 30 seconds to fix it. I tightened the clamp, scraped corrosion off with my thumb, and listened. The engine coughed. Then it caught. Only then did I say, "Try it now." The truck started. The man laughed like he had done something impressive. Finally. Thought I was going to be stuck out here all night. He did not say thank you. I did not expect him to. People always mistook quiet for empty. Bosses gave me the bad shifts. Customers blamed me for problems they caused. People borrowed my tools, forgot my name, and called again when something else broke. I took it, not because I liked it, because reacting had never made my life easier. I packed my tools into the back of my service car and watched his taillights disappear down the highway. He did not even tap the brakes as a goodbye. For a few seconds, there was only wind. Then the stars went out. At first I thought a storm cloud had covered them, but clouds move. This did not. The sky opened above me, smooth and black, like someone had pulled a curtain across the world. Then the red light came. It hit everything at once. The road, the dead shoulder grass, my hands, the pickup hood, still warm from the engine. An aurora burned over America. Not green, not blue, red, deep, violent, living red, twisting over the highway like veins under glass. Every car on the road died at the same time. Engines cut. Headlights blinked out. Phones went dark. The billboard down the road sparked. Flashed half of an ad no one would ever finish reading. Then went black forever. For one strange second, nobody screamed. People just sat there in their dead cars and stared upward, trying to force the sky back into something normal. Then the first plane fell. It was far away, just a blinking white dot over the city. But everyone saw it drop. The red sky swallowed its lights. A moment later, orange fire spread beyond the hills. That was when the screaming started. Doors opened. People stumbled onto the asphalt. A woman called for her son. A man shouted that it was an attack. Someone else said solar radiation. Another person dropped to their knees and prayed so fast the words stopped being words. I stood beside my service car with one hand still on the trunk. My face probably did not change much. Inside, something old and tired tightened around my ribs. Of course, I thought. Of course the world would end on a night when I was alone. Then a sound rolled through the air. Not thunder. Not an explosion. A tone. It came from nowhere and everywhere, low enough to vibrate in my teeth, clean enough to feel artificial. The red aurora brightened, and pale blue light opened in front of my eyes. Welcome to the frontier system. Earth region, North America. Survival tutorial has begun. The words were not in the sky. They were inside my vision. I blinked. They stayed. More lines opened beneath them. Zone assignment, Colorado Front Range, Zone 7. Initial terrain, collapsed infrastructure. Primary objective, survive. Across the highway, a young man laughed once, sharp and terrified. No, no way. This is fake. Then the trees beyond the shoulder snapped. Not one branch. Several. Something huge moved behind the dark wall of pines. It moved slowly, like it knew nothing on that highway could stop it. The people nearest the shoulder stopped screaming. Fear changed shape. It went quiet. I looked at the trees, then back at the highway. Families, office workers, truckers, college kids, old people, everyone stranded between dead cars and a forest that had started breaking itself apart. I did not have a weapon. I did not have a plan. Then I saw the old man. He was trapped in a sedan 10 yards away, hitting the window with the soft side of his fist because the electronic locks had frozen. I moved before I thought about it. My tire iron was still in the trunk. I grabbed it, crossed the road, and hit the driver's window near the corner. Once, twice. On the third hit, the safety glass spiderwebbed. Cover your face, I said. He did. I struck again, cleared the glass with my sleeve, and pulled him out through the window. My wife, he said, pointing back inside. I reached for the passenger door. That was when the system opened my personal status. Player status initializing. Name, Eli Ward. Level 1. Class, none. Combat aptitude, low. Special skill, pending. For the first time that night, I froze. Around me, other people had started to glow. Fire crawled over one man's knuckles. A woman near the guardrail raised both hands, and a transparent shield formed in front of her. A trucker swung a crowbar, and the metal stretched into a heavy black axe. Then my screen updated. Class, none. I stared at it. I had been called worse. Deadweight. Charity case. Quiet creep. Foster trash. Useful when somebody needed a tire changed. Invisible when they did not. So the insult itself did not hurt. The timing did. The world had cracked open. Monsters were moving in the trees. Some power had judged humanity and handed out fire, shields, and weapons. Then it looked at me and gave me nothing. Across the highway, the man with fire on his hands turned toward the trees and grinned too hard. I got this. I wanted to tell him not to. I did not know him. I did not know the monster. I did not know the rules. But I knew that grin. I had seen it on drunk men outside bars. On customers who thought holding a tool made them mechanics. On bosses who mistook volume for competence. People wore that face right before reality corrected them. He ran toward the shoulder anyway. Flames burst from his palms. For 1 second, the highway flashed orange. And people cheered because they needed something to cheer for. Then something came out of the trees on all fours. It had once been a coyote. Maybe. Its spine pressed against its hide in jagged, glassy ridges. Its jaw hung too wide, full of wet black teeth, and its eyes reflected fire like cracked mirrors. The kid threw a fireball. It hit. The creature burned. It kept running. The cheers died. I grabbed the old man's wife by the shoulders and pulled her out of the sedan as the monster hit the kid in the chest. Fire scattered across the asphalt. Someone screamed. The creature shook its head once. The screaming stopped. A system message opened beside the body. Common mutation detected. Glassback scavenger. Recommended response. Avoid direct engagement without combat class. I looked at my own screen. Combat aptitude, low. Class, none. There it was again. Like the system thought I had missed the joke the first time. Helpful, I muttered. The system did not care. More shapes moved behind the trees now. Not the huge thing from before. Smaller. Lower. Hungry. The old woman clutched my sleeve. What do we do? That question was worse than the screams. I had spent most of my life making sure nobody needed me for long. Fix the car, patch the pipe, move the couch, take the blame. Step back. If people leaned on you too much, they eventually noticed you had nothing sturdy behind you. I looked at the dead road. I looked at the creatures. I looked at the couple I had pulled out of the car. Then I gave the only answer I had. Get away from the trees. I led them toward the middle of the highway, where the stalled vehicles made a crooked metal maze. The shield woman followed. So did 3 others. The trucker with the axe moved beside us. Breathing hard, no longer excited about his class. I did not order anyone. I just moved like staying still was death. Maybe the system respected that. Maybe it was waiting for the worst possible second. Either way, new words opened in front of me. Special skill awakened. I stopped beside an overturned motorcycle. Special skill, mobile haven. Type, shelter, growth, command. Compatibility, unusual. Initial unit, dormant. A thin blue marker appeared in the distance, hovering over an abandoned service station beyond the next exit. Pump 7. Below it, the system added one more line. Reach your haven to begin survival registration. The trucker glanced at my empty hands. What did you get? I closed my fist around the tire iron. A direction. He waited for more. I did not give it to him. I had never liked showing people what little I had. In the old world, they either mocked it or tried to take it. Nothing about the new world looked kinder. The red aurora pulsed again. Cold winds swept down the highway hard enough to rock dead cars on their shocks. In the trees, the glassback scavengers began to howl. I started walking toward Pump 7. Pump 7 looked dead before the apocalypse. Now it looked offended to still be standing. The old service station sat below the exit ramp with its sign buzzing weakly in the red dark. 2 fuel pumps had been knocked sideways. The store windows were covered with old lottery posters and sun-bleached ads. A row of shopping carts lay tangled in a drainage ditch, rattling whenever the wind hit them. The blue marker did not point to the store. It pointed behind it. I came down the ramp alone. I had not started alone. The old couple stopped with a cluster of survivors near the highway. The shield woman joined a man claiming he could organize everyone. The trucker with the axe decided the gas station looked like a trap and said I was stupid for going. He might have been right. I did not argue. I was used to people leaving once they had what they needed from me. The rain began halfway down the ramp. Cold, sudden. Each drop caught the red glow of the sky until the world looked like it was bleeding in thin lines. I pulled my jacket tighter and kept walking. The marker hovered over the back lot. At first, I thought the system was broken. There was no base, no bunker, no armored truck, no clean shelter with lights and steel doors. There was only a white utility van parked crooked behind the station, half hidden by weeds and trash bags. One tire was flat. The rear bumper hung at an angle. The windshield had a long crack across the driver's side. The hood was patched with 2 different colors of paint, and someone had written "Wash me" in the dust years ago. I stared at it. Rain tapped on the roof. Somewhere inside the station, something dragged a heavy object across the floor. The blue marker blinked over the van. Initial Haven unit located. I looked at the cracked windshield. The cracked windshield looked back. You have got to be kidding me. The system was not kidding. Unit name, Haven 01. Type, mobile shelter. Condition, critical. Shelter integrity, 12%. Defense rating, 1. Occupant capacity, 1. Power, offline. Water, offline. Medical, offline. Climate control, offline. Mobility, compromised. Attitude, unavailable. I blinked at the last line. Attitude. The dashboard stayed dark. The rain got harder. I walked around the van once, tire iron in hand. The side door was stuck. The back doors were chained from the outside with a cheap padlock. The driver's door opened only after I put my shoulder into it and forced Russ to give up. The inside smelled like dust, old vinyl, and dead electronics. One torn seat, a crooked metal shelf, a cracked first aid box, 2 empty water jugs, a folded cot with mouse holes in the fabric, a dashboard with more warning lights than working parts. I leaned into the driver's side and checked under the steering column. Old habits took over. Fear was still there. The red sky was still outside. Monsters were still moving in the dark. But loose wiring made sense. Corroded terminals made sense. A badly mounted auxiliary battery made sense. Broken things did not lie to me. They did not pretend to be something else. They showed you where they hurt and waited to see if you knew what to do with it. I popped the hood. The latch screamed. The engine bay was ugly, but not hopeless. Extra cabling ran into a sealed black box behind the battery. No manufacturer label. No rust. Smooth matte surface. That did not belong in a utility van. I cleaned the battery terminal with the edge of my knife, tightened a ground connection, stripped damaged wire, and twisted it into place. Behind me, the station doors slammed again. Harder this time. I looked up. The front glass bowed outward. Something inside wanted out. I went back to the wire. Either wake up, I said quietly, or we both get eaten behind a gas station. For 3 seconds, nothing happened. Then the black box clicked. A thin blue line ran from the engine bay into the dashboard. The van's interior lights flickered once, twice. Then the dashboard lit in a tired, uneven glow. Haven 01 emergency boot sequence initiated. Diagnostic summary. Everything is damaged. I stared at the words. Another line appeared. Recommendation, lower expectations. I felt my mouth move before I meant it to. Not a smile. Close enough to be dangerous. So you do have attitude. The van answered by turning on the windshield wipers. They scraped across dry, cracked glass with a sound that hurt my teeth, even though rain was pouring outside. Then they stopped halfway. Wiper motor failure detected. Yeah, I said. I see that. The station doors slammed a 3rd time. This time, the lock broke. Something pale and fast dropped behind the counter inside. Haven's dashboard flashed red. Threat detected. Occupant registration required. Register first occupant? I looked at the gas station, then at the van, then at the rain falling harder through the red light. I had spent my life avoiding places that asked me to belong. Now the apocalypse was offering me one with a flat tire and a personality problem. I climbed into the driver's seat. Register me. The driver's door slammed shut by itself. Not gently. It hit hard enough to shake dust from the ceiling. I grabbed the handle. It did not move. Occupant 001 registered. Name, Eli Ward. Shelter authority, provisional. Trust rating, unverified. Trust rating. The dashboard gave one low warning tone. Current occupant has attempted to exit during active threat. Decision quality, poor. I looked at the screen. Another crash came from the station. The pale thing inside hit the broken front doors and rolled into the rain. Now I saw it clearly. It had once been a coyote, or close enough that my brain kept trying to call it one. Its ribs had split outward into glassy bone plates, and its paws clicked against pavement like knives. Rain steamed off its back where the red sky touched it. The creature lowered its head. Its jaw opened too wide. Common mutation, glassback scavenger. Threat rating, lethal to unarmed occupants. Recommended action, remain inside. Glad we agree. The scavenger charged. It hit the driver's side hard enough to rock the van onto its bad suspension. I slammed into the opposite door and caught myself on the steering wheel. The windshield crack stretched inches from my face. Shelter integrity, 11%. That better not be your whole plan. Haven beeped. Not confidently. More like a machine offended by the question. The scavenger backed up and hit us again. The cracked window bowed inward. Rain sprayed through the seal. I searched the dashboard, the floor, the glove box, anything. Dead flashlight. 3 receipts. A tire pressure gauge. A screwdriver with no handle. The scavenger climbed onto the hood. Claws scraped metal. I lifted the tire iron. It felt pathetic in my hand. No combat class. No fire. No shield. No axe. Not even a working vehicle. Just me in a stubborn van with a bad attitude. The creature lunged at the windshield. Haven's dashboard turned blue-white. Emergency defense available. Shock pulse. Charges, 1. Cool down after use. 6 hours deploy. Deploy. Nothing happened. Deploy. Voice command recognition confidence, 61%. Please confirm with shelter authority input. The scavenger's teeth punched through the windshield. I slammed my palm onto the glowing dashboard. Now. The van answered. Blue light burst through the frame, the doors, the hood, the roof, every rusted seam of Haven 01. The scavenger convulsed mid-lunge. Its claws tore down the windshield. Its body flew backward into a fuel pump and hit the ground smoking. For 1 second, everything was still except the rain. Then the creature twitched. It staggered up and limped into the darkness instead of dying. I did not celebrate. Men who celebrated too early usually missed the second threat. I checked the mirrors. The back lot was empty. The station doors hung open. The trees beyond the lot shifted with shapes I could not count. Shock pulse expended. Cool down, 5 hours 59 minutes and 58 seconds. Shelter integrity, 9%. Windshield, compromised. Occupant status, alive. Then, after a pause. Result, acceptable. I leaned back in the seat, rain dripping through the cracked windshield onto my sleeve. Your standards are terrible. The dashboard lights dimmed like it was sulking. Inside the van, everything was cold, cramped, and wrong. The seat dug into my back. My hands hurt from gripping the tire iron. Every warning light promised a different future failure. But the door was locked. The walls had held. Since the aurora opened, nothing else had stood between me and the dark. I did not know what to call the feeling that rose in my chest. Relief was too small. Hope was too dangerous. So I turned it into work. I pulled the cracked first aid box into my lap, sorted the useful from the useless, and found a grease pencil. In the glove box. On the inside of the driver's window, below the long crack in the glass, I wrote the first rule. Do not open doors without a reason. Haven's interior light brightened just enough to illuminate the words. You approve? The screen stayed blank. Then the locks clicked twice. Once to lock, once more to make a point. Before I could decide whether that was comforting or annoying. A new alert opened. Emergency beacon detected. Distance, 0.4 miles. Signal type, medical. Life signs, unstable. Shelter mission available. I stared at it. Outside, rain covered the blood on the pavement. 6 hours until the shock pulse returned. A windshield that might not survive another hit. No weapon worth mentioning. And someone nearby still alive enough for the system to notice. I could ignore it. I could sit behind the locked door until morning and tell myself that was survival. I had done that before in smaller ways. Kept my head down. Stayed quiet. Let people make their choices and told myself it was none of my business. But the old man on the highway had asked for his wife. And I had moved. Some parts of a person do not die just because the world ends. I opened my eyes. Show me the route. For once, Haven did not argue. A thin blue line appeared on the windshield, pointing through the rain. Haven's route led away from the station. I disliked that immediately. The route also avoided the main road. The blue line curved behind Pump 7, past the dumpsters, through a drainage ditch, and along a narrow service path, choked with weeds and broken asphalt. It was the kind of path people used when they did not want to be seen from the highway. In the old world, I would have hated it. In the new one, I hated it more. Shelter mission. Recover unstable survivor. Recommended equipment. Weapon. Medical supplies. Functional transport. I looked around the van. One tire iron. A cracked first aid box. A vehicle that had just insulted my expectations. Available equipment quality. Inadequate. Proceed? You're getting comfortable with that tone. Haven blinked the hazard lights once. I took that personally. I spent 5 minutes preparing because 5 minutes was all I could afford. Duct tape around the tire iron grip. Road flare on my belt. Gauze, alcohol pads, and the least expired painkillers in my jacket pockets. Then I checked the van doors twice. Stay locked. Unnecessary instruction. Right. I stepped into the rain. The cold slid down my collar, soaked my shirt, and made the tire iron slick in my hand. The red aurora turned every puddle into a pool of dark light. The whole world looked wounded. Behind me, Haven's headlights flickered once. Not bright enough to guide me. Just enough to remind me where to run back. I followed the marker into the drainage ditch. The storm had already changed the land. Water ran too fast along broken concrete, carrying leaves, ash, and something pale that might have been cloth. Every few steps, static crawled across my vision and made the system marker jitter. New problem. The weather was touching the system. I filed that away and kept moving. Halfway to the beacon, the first private message appeared. Zone 7 direct. Unknown sender. You got shelter? I ignored it. Unknown sender. Trade? I ignored that too. Unknown sender. Don't be stupid. People die alone. I almost laughed. People died together too. I had seen enough of that before the apocalypse. Families that broke apart in waiting rooms. Foster homes full of kids no one wanted after they got old enough to be inconvenient. Men who called each other brothers until money got tight. Being alone did not scare me as much as needing the wrong person. The blue marker brightened. The ambulance lay on its side at the bottom of a shallow embankment, half hidden behind scrub oak and smashed guardrail. Its rear doors were twisted open. One wheel still spun slowly, clicking every time it reached the same bent point. The beacon came from inside. So did a woman's voice. If you're human, stay back. Weak. But a warning, not a plea. I stopped 10 feet from the ambulance. I got a medical beacon. A pause. Then you got bait. I looked at the ground. She was right. The mud around the ambulance was a mess of footprints, drag marks, and black streaks that did not look like oil. 2 bodies lay near the rear doors. Their uniforms had been torn open. Their arms were too long now, fingers bent backward into hooked points. Both were still. That meant nothing. How many inside? I asked. 1 alive. You? For now. Lightning flashed red-white across the sky. For one instant, I saw her through the broken windshield. Dark hair stuck to her face. One arm pinned under a bent support rail. Paramedic jacket torn open at the shoulder. Blood ran down her hand, but it did not drip normally. It hung in the air in thin red threads, trembling like wire. Even injured, she looked like someone people would recognize. And I did. Mara Voss. Paramedic trainee. Charity calendar cover. Viral rescue clip from the stadium collapse. rumored underground fighter, though nobody had ever proved it. The city loved turning people into stories. From the look in Mara's eyes, she hated being one. "You know who I am," she said. It was not pride. It was exhaustion. I stepped closer. "I know you're pinned." Her expression shifted. Not softer, just less ready to stab me. "That's all. That's enough." Behind me, one of the bodies near the ambulance moved. Mara's eyes flicked past my shoulder. Down. I dropped. A red thread snapped over my head so fast it sang in the rain. The corpse lunged where my throat had been. The thread cut through the rain and wrapped around its neck. Mara pulled with her unpinned hand. The movement should have been impossible from the angle she was trapped in. Her shoulder was bleeding, her ribs had to be damaged, and one leg was twisted under a collapsed equipment shelf. But the thread tightened anyway. The corpse hit the mud behind me, clawing at the bloodline around its throat. It had been human recently. That made it worse. Its skin was gray around the veins. Its jaw clicked open and shut, as if remembering language. But not words. A cracked paramedic badge still hung from its shirt. Mara's face did not change. Only her eyes did. For half a second, they looked unbearably tired. Then the hardness came back. "Move." I rolled aside. Mara twisted her wrist. The blood thread snapped tight and carved through the mutated corpse in one clean red line. It collapsed. This time, it did not get up. The system opened a combat notice beside me. Player, Mara Voss. Class, Blood Warden. Skill observed, Crimson Stitch. Threat rating, high. That last line felt unnecessary. I already knew. Mara leaned her head back against the ambulance wall and breathed through her teeth. The blood thread loosened, shivered, then slid back into the wound across her palm like it had never been there. I stood slowly. "You killed your partner." Her eyes snapped to me. For a moment, the air between us became sharper than the rain. Most people would have apologized. Most people would have explained. I pointed at the body. "His badge matches yours. You hesitated before you cut." Mara stared at me. Then her grip on the scalpel eased by a fraction. "His name was Aaron." I nodded once. Not comfort, not pity, just acknowledgement. Mara seemed to hate that more than a speech. "If you're here to loot, do it fast. I'm here for the beacon. Beacon's under my seat. Then I'm here for you." She laughed once, quiet and bitter. "No, you're not." I moved around the ambulance and studied the wreck. The support rail pinning her arm had bent inward during the crash. If I pulled wrong, it would tear whatever muscle she had left. If I waited too long, shock would do what the monsters had not. I need to lift that rail. It won't move. It moved once. When a truck hit us. Then I only need to be less useless than a truck. That got the smallest reaction from her. Not a smile. But the corner of her mouth shifted, and for 1 second, the famous face from the city's old screens disappeared. What remained was a wounded woman trying not to be afraid in front of a stranger. I understood that better than fame. I braced one foot against the ambulance frame and tested the rail. It groaned, but not enough. I found the hinge point, wedged the tire iron into the gap, and adjusted my grip. Mara watched me the entire time. "You're calm. No point screaming at steel. People scream anyway. People do a lot of things." Another corpse twitched near the front of the ambulance. Mara lifted her bloody hand. I did not look away from the rail. "Save it." "Excuse me. You use more blood, you pass out. I need you awake when this moves." Her eyes narrowed. She was used to people giving orders because they wanted to own the room. I did not need the room. I needed the rail to move. So, for reasons she did not like, Mara listened. She lowered her hand. I pushed. The rail did not move. I adjusted the tire iron. Rain ran down my neck. My hand slipped. My shoulder burned. Somewhere beyond the embankment, a glassback scavenger howled, and 2 more answered. Haven was 0.4 miles away with 1 cracked windshield and no shock pulse. I pushed again. Still nothing. Mara's voice came softer. "Leave." I did not answer. "I mean it. I'm dead weight like this." There it was. The sentence every cruel world eventually taught people to say about themselves. My grip tightened. I don't leave people because they're inconvenient. Mara looked at me then. Really looked. Not at my lack of class. Not at the tire iron. Not at the soaked work jacket. Not at the man the system had labeled low combat aptitude. At me. Something in her focus shifted, too quick to name. I pushed it aside because I had found the weak point. When I lift, pull your arm toward your chest. Not out. Toward. Mara swallowed. The hard mask stayed on her face. But her voice changed. Just a little. Yes. Not sarcastic. Not challenging. Trusting, for one heartbeat before she could stop herself. I pushed with everything I had. The rail screamed. The ambulance frame shifted. Mara bit down on a sound of pain and dragged. Her arm free, tearing skin, cloth, and blood thread all. At once. The corpse near the front launched at my back. Mara moved first. Even half collapsed. She threw her hand forward and wrapped crimson stitch around its legs. The corpse hit the mud short of my boot, snapping its teeth. I brought the tire iron down on its skull. Once. Twice. The third hit ended it. Silence returned. Mara slumped against the ambulance, breathing hard. Her face had gone pale under the blood and rain. I crouched in front of her. Can you walk? Can you carry me? Probably. Then I can walk. I offered my hand. For a second, she stared at it like it was more dangerous than the monsters. Then she took it. The system opened a new alert. Shelter mission condition met. Unstable survivor recovered. Return to Haven 01. Warning. Blood scent has attracted nearby mutations. From the top of the embankment, 3 glassback scavengers stepped into view. Their spines shone under the red aurora. Behind them, larger and lower than the rest, another shape. Watch without moving. Its eyes were patient. Mara saw it too. That one, she whispered. That's not like the others. I tightened my grip on the tire iron. Then we don't let it learn much. Far behind us, Haven's headlights blinked through the rain. Once. Then twice. Like it was impatient. The 3 scavengers came down the embankment in silence. The silence made them worse. Animals make noise when they hunt. Paws slip. Branches snap. Breathing changes. Even predators have bodies, and bodies betray themselves. These things moved like they were remembering how silence worked. Mara leaned against me for half a second before forcing herself upright. Don't let them surround us. No suggestion. No panic. I liked that immediately. I did not say it out loud. Fear was useful if it stayed in its lane. Mara's fear had a job, and it was doing it. I shifted the tire iron to my right hand and pulled the road flare from my belt with my left. How many threads can you use? Mara gave me a look that would have killed a softer man. How much blood do you think I have? Less than you need. Her mouth tightened. She did not deny it. The largest shape at the top of the hill still had not moved. Low to the ground. Spine ridges longer than the others. Rain ran over its bone plates without making them shine. They drank the red light instead. That one was thinking. I could feel it. I struck the flare against the ambulance frame. Red fire burst to life in my hand, almost the same color as the sky. The nearest scavenger flinched. Not much, but enough. I moved. Not forward. Sideways. I grabbed Mara around the waist and pulled her toward the ambulance's rear doors, putting the wreck between us and 2 of the creatures. She made a quiet sound of pain and swallowed the rest so fast it almost never existed. Warn me before you do that, she said. Would you have agreed? No. Then no. The second scavenger sprang onto the side of the ambulance, claws scraping paint as it tried to climb over. Mara lifted her injured hand, and a thin red line snapped from her palm to the creature's front leg. It was not a big attack. That made it terrifying. The thread looped once, tightened, and pulled the leg sideways. At the wrong angle. The scavenger dropped hard onto the wreck's edge. I shoved the flare against its face. The creature screamed. It sounded too human. Mara's weight shifted heavier against me. She was fading. The third scavenger charged through the mud. I threw the flare into its path. It dodged. The thing learned that fast. I cursed under my breath and stepped into the charge. Instead of away from it. The scavenger expected prey to run. It did not expect a classless man with a tire iron to meet it halfway and slam the metal bar into the side of its front leg. The hit did not kill it. It barely hurt it, but it changed the creature's angle. Mara's blood thread caught its neck while it was off balance. I hooked the tire iron under its jaw and pushed with all my weight. Together, we forced the monster sideways into the broken ambulance door. The metal edge pierced under its ribs. Black blood hit the mud. The creature thrashed. Mara whispered, Down. I dropped without asking. 3 red threads crossed above me. For 1 second, the rain itself seemed stitched in place. Then she pulled. The creature's throat opened. It collapsed against the ambulance. Mara's knees buckled. I caught her before she hit the ground. Player, Mara Voss. Vital status, unstable. Blood loss, severe. Skill overuse detected. Mutation index fluctuation, 0.7%. Mara saw the last line. Her eyes sharpened. Don't tell anyone that. I did not ask why. People hated weakness. In this new world, they would probably hate numbers even more. I won't. The answer came too quickly for suspicion to catch it. Mara stared at me for 1 heartbeat, then looked away first. The 2 remaining scavengers circled wider. The alpha at the top of the embankment finally stepped forward. The system did not identify it. That bothered me more than any warning could have. The wind changed. Static rolled across the ditch in a dry, crawling wave. It bent the rain sideways and turned every system screen around my vision into blue noise. The route back to Haven glitched, vanished, then reappeared 10 feet to the left. Mara's breathing hitched. Can you see the van? I looked through the rain. Haven's headlights blinked again. 1 light worked. The other flickered like it was trying out sarcasm. Yeah. Good. Can you run? No. Can you stay angry? Mara looked at me, pale and soaked, blood dripping from her fingers. Easily. That'll do. I shifted her arm over my shoulder and started moving. The first 10 steps were slow. The next 10 were worse. Every time Mara stumbled, she tried to pull away like needing help was a debt she could not afford. Every time she did, I tightened my grip without looking at her. I did not tell her it was fine. I did not tell her she was safe. I did not say any of the pretty lies people use when they want fear to be quiet. I kept walking. For Mara, that was worse. And better. The nearest scavenger lunged. I turned my shoulder, taking Mara with me. The creature's claws caught my jacket instead of her back. Cloth ripped. Pain cut across my ribs. I hit it with the tire iron, and Mara's thread snapped around its ankle long enough to trip it into drainage water. We kept moving. Behind us, the alpha did not rush. It watched. It let the weaker ones spend themselves. Spinejaw. The name landed before I could argue with it. Maybe because of the ridges along its back. Maybe because some part of me understood that if a thing lived long enough to become a problem, it deserved a name. Haven's headlights flashed faster. Proximity alert. Unregistered survivor detected. Blood contamination risk, high. Exterior threat count, 4. Recommendation, deny entry. I reached the van and slammed my palm against the driver's door. Open. The door stayed locked. Mara laughed weakly against my shoulder. Your shelter hates me. It hates risk. Occupant 001 injury detected. Unregistered survivor injury detected. Interior medical support, offline. Decision tree conflict. The scavengers closed in. I looked through the cracked window at the dim dashboard. You asked me to recover her. No response. Mission said unstable survivor. I recovered her. The nearest creature stepped into the edge of the headlights. Mara lifted her hand, but no thread came. I lowered my voice. Don't make me leave her outside. The dashboard stayed dark for 1 impossible second. Then the lock clicked. The side door slid open 3 inches, stuck, groaned, then forced itself open the rest of the way with a sound like old metal losing an argument. Temporary occupant 002 registered. Name, Mara Voss. Status, critical. Trust rating, pending. Warning, temporary occupant is bleeding on the floor. Mara's head lifted slightly. Rude. Haven flashed the interior light once. I pulled her inside and kicked the door shut behind us. The van locked down. A scavenger hit the side panel a heartbeat later. The whole vehicle rocked. I lowered Mara onto the torn cot while claws screamed. Across the exterior. Medical support requested. Medical support status, offline. A pause. This is inconvenient. I pressed gauze against Mara's shoulder. Yeah, I'm starting to understand your personality. Outside, Spinejaw stepped into the headlights at last. It did not attack. It looked at the van, then at me through the cracked windshield. Then it turned and disappeared into the rain with the 2 surviving scavengers following behind. Mara saw it leave. Why did it stop? I kept pressure on the wound. It learned the door closes. Mara woke with a scalpel at my throat. That would have been more impressive if she had not been lying on a torn cot in a rusted van, shaking from blood loss, with one sleeve cut open and 3 strips of duct tape holding a bandage in place. Still, the scalpel was steady. I respected that. I looked down at the blade, then at her face. Morning. Her eyes narrowed. How long was I out? 42 minutes. 44 minutes. The correction flashed on the dashboard behind me. I did not turn around. 44. Mara's gaze flicked to the screen, then back to me. You watched me sleep? I watched the door. And me? You were bleeding on my floor. Temporary occupant 002 continues bleeding. Floor condition, unacceptable. Mara stared at the screen. Does it always talk like that? It doesn't talk. Correct. I sighed. Mara's mouth shifted before she could stop it. Not a smile. Almost. Then pain dragged her back into herself. The scalpel steadied. Where are my things? Beside you. Weapons. Scalpel in your hand. Folding knife under your thigh. The rest were broken. Her eyes sharpened. You knew about the knife? You shifted your leg every time I got close. And you left it there? I held up a plastic bottle with 2 inches of water in it. You want water or an argument? Mara looked at the bottle like it was gold. That was when the apocalypse became real in a smaller, uglier way. Not the monsters. Not the red sky. Water. Something ordinary had become a question. Where did you get that? Van had one sealed emergency bottle. That's yours. You're the one bleeding. I set it beside her hand and stepped back. That mattered. Mara noticed. People had handed her things before. Cameras. Flowers. Drinks. Promises. Most of them used gifts like hooks. I gave her water and moved away. No smile. No expectation. No claim. Mara lowered the scalpel a little. You don't ask many questions. You don't answer them. Smart. Practical. She opened the bottle with one hand. Her fingers shook once. She hated that I saw it. She hated more that I did not comment. When she drank, she closed her eyes. Only for a second. But in that second, the famous Mara Voss was gone. So was the blood warden. There was only someone exhausted enough to be grateful and proud enough to resent it. I looked away first. I busied myself with the bandage kit. Most of it was junk. 2 gauze rolls. Alcohol pads. Medical tape that barely stuck. A triangular bandage. Scissors. 1 packet of clotting powder, so old the label had yellowed. Mara watched me sort it. You know what you're doing? Enough. That's not comforting. Wasn't meant to be. I held up a clean bandage. Your shoulder needs rewrapped. Her posture changed. Chin lifted. Eyes cooled. Scalpel steady. She was preparing to make me fight for every inch of trust. I set the bandage on the metal shelf between us. Do it yourself if you can. That stopped her. What? If you can't, I'll help. If you can, do it yourself. Mara stared at me for a long moment. Then, slowly, she picked up the bandage. It took her almost 3 minutes. She nearly passed out once. I did not touch her until she said, quietly, hold the end. So I did. Just the end. She wrapped. I held. Neither of us spoke. Outside, cold air slipped through the cracked windshield, carrying rain, ash, and something dead from inside the gas station. The van was barely warmer than the storm, but there was a difference now. Small, stubborn, real. There were 2 people inside instead of 1. When the bandage was done, Haven flickered. Medical stabilization improvised. Quality, poor. Outcome, temporarily acceptable. Mara gave the screen a flat look. I hate it. The interior light warmed by 1 shade. I sat in the driver's seat and checked the cracked mirrors. It grows on you. Unverified. Mara actually smiled. Small and tired, but real. Then the system ruined the moment. Shelter mission complete. Unstable survivor recovered. Temporary occupant stabilized. Achievement unlocked. First shelter established. Reward. Haven supply draw X1. Zone reputation plus 50. Zone chat unlocked. The words burned bright enough to reflect in the cracked windshield. I read them once. Then again. I did not like the word zone. I liked reputation even less. Mara saw my face. What? Before I could answer, a new window opened. Zone 7, Colorado Front Range. Chat access granted. Messages began pouring down the screen. Dozens. Then hundreds. And one question repeated more than any other. Who is Eli Ward? The chat moved too fast to read it first. Names, cries for help, trade offers, threats, rumors, jokes too. Desperate to be funny. It all poured across the dashboard while rain tapped on the roof and something scratched inside Pump 7. General Iron Mike. Did everyone get that achievement pop up? General Ray of Thorns. First shelter established. Who is Eli Ward? Emergency Lost Mom 22. Please help. My daughter is feverish. We are near mile marker 118. Trade Cactus Jack. Buying ammo. Selling bottled water. Serious offers only. General Fire Kid is dead. Classes don't mean anything. I saw an Ember guy get folded. Recruitment Fort Mercy Scout. Fort Mercy is accepting useful awakened survivors. Anonymous Unknown. Shelter skills are bait. Don't trust them. Mara read silently from the cot. The more messages appeared, the colder her expression became. Turn it off. I looked for an option. Haven supplied one immediately. Mute zone chat. Recommended. Yes. Reason noise. I almost selected it. Then one message caught my eye. Emergency Lost Mom 22. Please. We can hear things outside. My hand stopped. Mara noticed. You can't save everyone. It was not cruel. It was experience. I know. Do you? I did not answer. My silence answered. Mara shifted painfully until she could sit against the wall. Even injured, soaked, and pale, she carried herself like people were watching. Maybe because, before tonight, people usually were. The system is showing you pain on purpose, she said. You think so? I know so. It gives achievements for rescue. It gives rankings for kills. It announces who is shelter. That isn't mercy. That's bait with fireworks. I read the chat again. She was right. Of course she was right. Every public reward was a flare in the dark. The problem was that people in the dark still looked for flares. A new tab opened without being asked. Ranking board. Combat rank. Survival rank. Rescue contribution. Settlement rank. Threat rating. Most lists were empty or hidden. Names appeared and vanished as people died, leveled, or lost signal. I found myself in rescue contribution near the bottom. Rescue contribution. 97. Eli Ward. 1 confirmed shelter recovery. Mara's name appeared in combat rank. Combat rank. 41. Mara Voss. 3 confirmed kills. I glanced back at her. She saw it. Don't look impressed. Wasn't. You hesitated. I was checking if you were higher. Mara blinked, then looked away, annoyed she had no clean answer. Haven added another window. Settlement rank. Unregistered shelters detected. 14. Recognized shelters. 1. 1. Haven 01. Integrity 9%. Capacity 2. Status. Poor. Mara stared. It ranked this thing first. I looked around the van. Rain dripped through the windshield into a coffee cup on the floor. The cot sagged under Mara's weight. The passenger door handle was missing. One dashboard vent blew cold air, even though the fan was off. Small list. Haven turned the interior light off. Mara let out one breath that might have been a laugh if she were less stubborn. Then the chat changed. General Iron Mike. There it is. Haven 01. Settlement rank says 1 recognized shelter. Trade Cactus Jack. Recognized doesn't mean safe. General Ray of Thorns. Capacity 2? That's not a shelter. That's a closet. Anonymous Unknown. Closets have doors. Emergency Lost Mom 22. Eli Ward. If you can see this, please answer. My jaw tightened. Mara saw it and leaned forward. If you answer 1, 10 more will come. If I answer none, what's the point of shelter? Surviving. That's the start. Mara went still. Plenty of people say noble things when they want an audience. I was annoyed that the truth had gotten in the way of an easier night. Before she could answer, a private message opened. Direct message. Sender. Rooker. Nice shelter. Let's talk fuel. Mara's expression changed immediately. Do you know him? I shook my head. Rooker. Pump 7 is my road. Rooker. You are parked on my road. Rooker. Fuel is mine. Rooker. Shelter can be negotiated. I looked through the cracked windshield at the dark gas station, the dead pumps, the rain, the broken doors. I had known men like this before the system. The type who saw a locked door and called it rude. The type who saw someone else's full hands and called it selfish. The type who learned a new world's shape faster than decent people because they had been waiting for permission. Mara spoke quietly. Do not negotiate from the floor. I glanced at her. Pale. Injured. Barely upright. Still seeing more angles than I was. What do you suggest? Mara looked at the dashboard, then at the locked doors. First, we find out what your rude little van can actually do. Haven's hazard lights clicked once. Description accepted. Rude little van. I stared at the screen. Mara's smile sharpened. It likes me. Unverified. The private message blinked again. Rooker, you got 2 minutes, Eli Ward. I did not answer in 2 minutes. I used them. People miss that about me. I did not move fast unless speed mattered. I did not speak unless words helped. But when a problem appeared, some part of me began sorting it into pieces before my face admitted I was worried. Rooker wanted fuel. Rooker claimed the road. Rooker knew I had shelter. And I had one reward I had not opened. Reward available. Haven Supply Draw X1. Open now? Mara saw the screen. A gotcha system. You know what that is? I had interns. That explains nothing. It means the system gives you a pretty box and hopes you forget it owns the odds. That sounded exactly right. I selected open. The dashboard changed. For once, Haven's broken interior did not look like a van. Blue light unfolded across the windshield, forming a sealed metal crate suspended in empty space. Haven Supply Draw initiating. Reward pool. Emergency repair. Shelter module. Food supply, water supply, defensive utility, low-grade, blueprint. The crate shook. Mara watched like she did not want to care, and cared anyway. I expected a weapon. I did not let myself hope for one, but some tired animal part of me wanted it. A turret. A shotgun. Armor plating. Anything that made the next person think twice before sending. Messages like the world had become their private driveway. The crate opened. Reward acquired. Water filtration tank. Rarity, Haven Basic. Function, converts contaminated water into potable water at low volume. Installation, available. Mara stared, then looked at me. You pulled plumbing. I leaned back in the driver's seat. Looks like it. Disappointment pressed against the inside of my ribs. Not because clean water was useless. It was not. But outside the van, monsters had claws and Rooker had threats. A water tank did not stop either. Haven's dashboard flashed. Occupant reaction detected. Underwhelmed. This again. Another line appeared. Correction recommended. Water is survival. The floor panel behind the driver's seat clicked open. Mara and I both went quiet. Beneath the floor, where there should have been only rust and road grime, something unfolded. Pipes slid along the van's interior walls in thin silver lines. A cracked storage panel sealed itself. One empty water jug lifted slightly, locked into place, and filled with a faint blue glow. The sound was small. A hum, then a drip, then a steady stream. Clear water ran into the jug. Mara stopped breathing for a second. I watched the jug fill like I was looking at fire for the first time. Outside, the rain changed. It came down darker now, carrying gray flakes that dissolved. Against the glass. Ash. Not snow. Not dust. Ash falling from a sky that had not burned anything nearby. Environmental anomaly detected. Ash rain. Warning. Unfiltered surface water unsafe for consumption. Contamination risk, high. The jug inside Haven continued filling. Clean. Quiet. Impossible. Mara whispered, oh. The sound was small enough that I almost pretended not to hear it. But I did. She looked at Haven 01 without mockery. Not because it was strong. Because it could keep someone alive tomorrow. Water filtration tank installed. Production rate, low. Current safe output, 3.2 liters per day. Recommendation. Do not waste. Do not advertise. Do not let strangers touch the tank. I looked at the chat still flickering on the side of the windshield. Too late for at least one of those. The direct message window blinked. Rooker. 2 minutes passed. Rooker. Guess you're shy? Rooker. I can respect shy. Rooker. I respect it less when it's parked beside my fuel. Then. Rooker. Here's the friendly deal. Rooker. You give me access to shelter and half of whatever that achievement gave you. Rooker. I give you fuel and let you stay breathing. Mara's hand tightened on the scalpel. He knows you gotta draw. He guessed. No. Men like that don't guess. They smell a person trying not to look lucky. I read the message again. I could give Rooker something small. Pretend to cooperate. Buy time. Practical, at least on paper. but the tank hummed behind me. Mara sat on the cot with a clean bandage on. Her shoulder, alive because Haven had opened its door. Outside, ash rain turned every puddle poisonous. Some things become dangerous the moment people know they exist. Clean water was one of them. Shelter was another. I placed one hand on the dashboard. It was not dramatic. I just needed to feel the machine under my palm. Old plastic. Weak vibration. Stubborn power. Haven's lights steadied. Mara watched my hand. Her posture eased. Not surrender. Recognition. She understood the line I was drawing. And if it was my line, she would stand behind it until she could stand beside it. I opened the reply window. Mara said, "Do not explain." No. Predators hear explanations as fear. Good advice. I typed one word. Eli Ward, no? For 5 seconds, nothing happened. Then the chat erupted. Anonymous, unknown. Elmio Van Guy said no to Rooker. General Iron Mike, bad idea. Trade Cactus Jack. If he has shelter and water, I want coordinates. General Ray of Thorns. He has water? Emergency Lost Mom 22. Please. My child needs water. My jaw tightened at the last message. Mara saw it happen. Not yet, she said quietly. It was the first deliberate softness she gave me. Not gentle enough to be comfort. Not hard enough to be command. A second in command speaking before the leader made the mistake his heart wanted. I closed the chat. The private message blinked once more. Rooker, wrong answer. Outside, near the dead pumps, an engine started. Not Haven's. Someone else's. Haven's dashboard went red. Hostile movement detected. Estimated arrival, unknown. Recommendation. Prepare to be disappointed by current defenses. Mara looked at the screen. I take it back. I grabbed the tire iron. About what? It does not like me. Haven locked the doors. Then, after a pause, turned the interior light over Mara. Slightly warmer than the rest. Unverified. The engine outside grew louder. Not clean. Not healthy. It coughed through the rain like an old truck running. On bad fuel and worse decisions. Haven dimmed its interior lights without being asked. Mara noticed me noticing. Smart van. Correct. The headlights appeared between the dead pumps a moment later. 2 vehicles rolled into the lot, a mud-splattered pickup with a welded brush guard and a little red hatchback with half its doors missing. 4 people stepped out. The man in front wore a yellow rain poncho over. Body armor that did not fit. Pistol on one hip. Hatchet on the other. Easy smile of someone who believed every conversation was already his. His system name appeared above him. Dax Rooker. Level 3. Class, toll breaker. Dax lifted both hands. Relax, Eli Ward. I came friendly. Mara whispered from the cot. No, he didn't. I did not open the door. I rolled the cracked driver's window down 1 inch. It made a grinding sound that embarrassed everyone except Haven. Window function, poor. Recommendation, avoid displays of weakness. Dax's smile widened. You got a funny ride. I said nothing. That made him talk more. See, Pump 7 is under my road claim. Has been since the first hour. Fuel, pavement, storage, whatever comes through, I manage it. People get hurt when nobody manages things. Behind him, one of his crew kicked a dead fuel. Pumpin laughed. Mara's hand tightened on the scalpel. I kept my voice even. You manage by threatening strangers? I manage by making rules. Dax stepped closer, and yellow light crawled across the cracked asphalt. Territory skill activated. Road tax claim marker. Pump 7 service lot. Effect, unauthorized movement speed reduced. Tribute accepted. Fuel, water, weapons, shelter access. The air did not change. My legs did. The pavement felt like it had remembered me as a trespasser. Dax saw the tiny shift in my stance and smiled. There it is. Nothing personal. The system gave me a road. You parked on it. The system gave me shelter. Exactly. So we both got lucky. Dax spread his hands. Half your water, shared shelter rights when I call for them, and I let you buy fuel at a fair rate. Mara laughed from inside the van. Soft. Not kind. Dax's eyes snapped toward her. His expression lost its polish. No way. Mara shifted just enough for the dashboard light to catch her face. Even injured, half pale, and wrapped in my terrible bandage work. She was unmistakable. Dax stared. Mara Voss. His crew went quiet. Fame had always done that to her. People did not see a person. They saw value. Dax's smile came back with teeth in it. Well, damn. Eli Ward, you have had one lucky night. The temperature inside the van seemed to drop. Mara's eyes went flat. My voice did not change. Do not talk about her like she's part of the trade. Dax looked at me, then laughed. You serious? Man, you really are new. Everything is trade now. My hand rested on the steering wheel. Under my palm, Haven's engine gave one low click. Not starting. Listening. Dax took another step. Open the door. Let us inspect the shelter. Then we all stay friends. Unauthorized entry request detected. Recommendation, decline rudely. I almost appreciated the timing. No. Dax sighed like a disappointed teacher. That word is going to get you killed. Maybe. Maybe soon. He lifted his hand, and the road tax marker glowed brighter. The heaviness crawled up through my knees. Mara started to rise. I did not look back. Stay down. She froze. Anyone else saying that would have earned blood thread around their throat. From me, it landed differently. Not control. Calculation. I was standing between her and a man who had already turned her into a prize in his head. So Mara stayed down. But her voice eased, only for me. Your call. Dax heard that. He did not like it. Cute. He pointed at the van. You have until sunset. Half the water. Shelter rights. Or I come back and take the whole thing. I watched him turn away. Then I said, you forgot something. Dax stopped. I nodded toward the station. Something inside already broke the front doors. If this is your road, you should manage that. One of Dax's crew looked toward the dark store. Something scratched from inside the wall. Dax's smile twitched. For 1 second, I saw the truth. Dax was not a king. He was a man standing on a road he could barely hold, hoping nobody noticed. Sunset, he said. The vehicles pulled away through the ash rain. Haven waited until they were gone. Threat assessment. Dax Rooker. Confidence, loud. Actual control, questionable. Mara leaned her head back and closed her eyes. I officially like the rude little van. Haven warmed her light again. Unverified. Dax left the lot quieter than he found it. That should have felt good. It did not. The road tax marker remained. Faint yellow lines crawling through cracked pavement. Every time I stepped outside Haven, my legs felt heavier, my balance a little slower. Dax had retreated, but his skill stayed behind like a hand on the throat of the station. Mara hated it immediately. We break the claim. I checked the gas station through the rain-streaked windshield. Not until we know what's inside. You think the station matters more than Dax? I think Dax was scared of it. Mara went quiet. Better than bravery. Haven added a small map of Pump 7. Most of it was static. The store interior pulsed red in broken patches, but the scanner could not hold a clean image. Interior skin obstructed. Likely causes. 1. Structural damage. 2. Mutation residue. 3. Cheap building materials. 4. All of the above. I grabbed the tire iron. Mara reached for the side door. I looked at her bandaged shoulder. No. Her gaze sharpened. I added, not because I think you're weak. Because if something happens to me, Haven listens to you better alive. That stopped the argument halfway out of her mouth. Mara looked at the dashboard. Temporary authority transfer possible in emergency. Preference, avoid emergency. Mara exhaled. Fine. But if you die, I'm angry. Fair. I entered the store through the broken front doors. Pump 7 smelled like spoiled milk, old coffee, wet insulation, and blood. Red emergency lights behind the counter flickered even though no power should have worked. A rack of chips had fallen across the aisle. The drink coolers were dark. Lottery tickets covered the floor like useless money from a dead country. Something tapped. 3 taps. Then nothing. I lifted the tire iron. Mara. Her voice came through the cracked handheld radio Haven had found under the driver's seat. I heard it. The tapping came again. Not from the walls. From the back. I moved past the counter and saw the walk-in freezer. Its handle had been tied shut from the outside with an electrical cord. The tapping stopped when I approached. A small voice came from inside. If you're with Rooker, I have a knife. I looked at the cord. Good. Silence. What? You should have a knife. I cut the cord and pulled the door open. Cold spilled out. A girl no older than 13 sat between boxes of thawing burger patties and freezer-burned burritos. Purple hoodie. Cracked glasses. A name tag that said Nia stuck to her sleeve. like a joke someone had not lived long enough to apologize for. Her knife was real. Her hand shook too badly to aim it well. Her eyes went straight past me toward the van. Is she with you? Who? The pretty one in the van. The one with red strings. Mara's voice crackled through the radio. I can't hear you. Nia flinched. I crouched so I did not tower over her. I'm Eli. That's a normal name. Sorry. Her mouth trembled like she wanted to laugh and cry at the same time. Then her nose started bleeding. She pressed her sleeve to it, embarrassed. Don't come closer. I stopped. Nia squeezed her eyes shut. Skill observed. Ping. Function. Short-range life detection. Cost. Neural strain. The air pulsed. For half a second, I felt every moving thing in the building as pressure against my skin. Mara in the van. Something small in the ceiling. Something larger under the floor. And Nia, bright and terrified in front of me. She opened her eyes. There are things in the walls. How many? Too many. Her gaze dropped. Rooker locked me in here when they came. He said small people hide better. My hand tightened around the tire iron. I did not show the anger on my face. I had learned that long before the system. Can you walk? Nia nodded. Then tried to stand and almost fell. I caught her by the elbow. She went rigid. I let go immediately. Sorry. Nia stared at me. Adults who said sorry and meant it were rare enough. Before the apocalypse. Now they felt like magic. Mara's voice came through the radio, softer than before. Bring her in. Haven immediately displayed. Warning. Occupant capacity exceeded. Current safe capacity, 2. Projected occupants, 3. Air quality decline possible. Comfort rating, insulting. I read the warning. Then looked at Nia. Cold had turned her lips pale. We'll make room. Haven did not want a third occupant. It expressed the opinion by refusing to slide the side. Door opened more than halfway when I brought Nia through. The rain. Projected interior congestion, severe. Recommendation, obtain larger shelter. I stood outside with Nia tucked behind me. Working on it. Current progress, negligible. Mara, still pale on the cot, looked at the dashboard. Opened the door. The door moved 1 inch. Mara's voice dropped. Now. For 3 seconds, Haven did nothing. Then the door opened fully. I glanced at Mara. She looked away, but not fast enough to hide the faint color in her face. Nia squeezed inside and immediately tried to make herself as small as possible. That hurt in a familiar way. I had known kids like that. I had been one. Mara noticed me notice. She did not say anything. That restraint was why I was beginning to trust her. For the next hour, survival looked less like fighting monsters and more like cleaning out junk. I pulled the metal shelf from the wall and bolted it higher. Mara held panels in place with thin red threads when her hands shook too much to lift. Nia sorted supplies into piles: food, medical, tools, trash, and maybe gross but useful. Haven judged every pile. Food, insufficient. Medical, inadequate. Tools, emotionally reassuring. Trash, extensive. Mara looked at the last line. That one was personal. The interior light flickered. We found 3 protein bars, 1 unopened coffee can, a half-full box of nitrile gloves, emergency blankets, duct sealant, and a small portable food warmer wedged behind a wall panel. The warmer had a cracked casing and a burned wire. I held it up. Thermal food unit detected. Condition, embarrassing. Repair possible. You two are related, Mara said. I ignored that and fixed the wire. When the warmer clicked on, the van filled with the smell of old coffee warming in a dented metal cup. Weak, bitter, probably terrible. Nia started crying anyway. Not loud. Just silently, with both hands wrapped around the cup after. I gave it to her. Mara looked at me. There was something new in her eyes. Respect, maybe, or the first shape of it. Then a shotgun clicked from outside the open gas station door. Step away from the kid. I turned slowly. An older woman stood under the station awning with a pump shotgun braced against her shoulder. Gray hair cut short. Soaked blue employee vest. Flat stare of someone who had already decided she could shoot if she had to. Her name tag read June. Nia lifted her head. Miss Bell. The shotgun dipped a fraction. June Bell looked from Nia to me, then to Mara. In the van. You are not Rooker's people. Mara's voice hardened. Obviously. June snorted. Pretty face, ugly tone. You must be Mara Voss. Mara blinked. I hid a smile by checking the food warmer. June lowered the shotgun. I ran this station 12 years. I know where the good supplies are hidden, where the basement floods, and which fuel tanks still have a little in them. Why tell us? June looked at Nia. Because you opened the freezer. The words settled into the cramped van. Simple. Enough. Haven's dashboard lit. Potential quartermaster detected. Trust rating, pending. Shotgun, relevant. June leaned in and read the message. Is your van judging me? Mara said, constantly. From inside the station walls, something scratched. Nia went pale. Basement, she whispered. They're under us. June's expression tightened. Then you need to know something else. She pointed toward a door behind the counter. The old fuel access runs under this place. Something below the floor answered with a low, patient growl. The basement smelled like fuel, wet concrete, and rot. June went first because she knew which steps were rotten. I followed with the tire iron and a flashlight that worked only when Haven felt generous enough to lend it power. Mara came third, against my preference and her own common sense, with one hand pressed to her bandaged shoulder. Nia stayed in Haven with the radio. Haven agreed by locking the doors the moment the girl sat down. Minor occupant secured. Do not lose additional occupants. June had read that and said, bossy thing. Haven flashed the headlights once. Under the station, we found the nest. It filled the old fuel access tunnel with bones, insulation, torn clothing, and strips of mutated hide. Glassback scavengers had been dragging bodies here since the red sky opened. Maybe before. With the system, it was getting harder to trust time. Mara crouched beside a line of shed bone plates. These are from the big one. The plates were thicker than the others, darker, grooved along the edges. June swallowed. Coyotes don't shed like that. They don't open doors either, Mara said. I aimed the flashlight at the far wall. Scratches covered the concrete. Not random claw marks. Testing marks. Low at first, then higher. Around the light switch. Around the fuse box. Around the basement door. Spinejaw had been learning the building. Mara saw it too. Her voice went quieter. It knows where people run. The pressure in the room dropped. I felt it in my ears first. A hollow pop. Then a silence so complete even the rain above seemed to disappear. Dust lifted from the floor without wind. Nia's voice cracked through the radio. Eli, I lifted it. Here. Something's moving away from you. Away. It's not scared. Her voice shook. It's going around. The flashlight flickered. At the end of the tunnel, two pale eyes opened. Spinejaw stood between the old fuel pipes, lower than the others, wider, its back armored in ridges that pulsed faintly. Under the skin, a black core shard hung between its teeth. It had not come to fight. It had come to show us it knew where the nest was. Mara's blood thread snapped forward. Spinejaw moved before she released it. Not fast. Correctly. It stepped where the thread was not, scraped one claw. Across the pipe beside it, then vanished into a side crawl space. June fired once. The blast shook the tunnel. It missed. Fuel vapor hissed from the pipe Spinejaw had scratched. I grabbed June's shotgun barrel and forced it down. No more. She realized why a second later. One spark in the wrong place, and the whole basement became a grave. Mara's knees buckled. I caught her by the elbow. This time, she did not pull away. It wanted us to shoot, she said. From the radio, Nia whispered. It heard us in the walls. Elite mutation forming nearby. Designation pending. Observed behavior, adaptive. Recommendation, avoid predictable tactics. Haven added its own message through the radio screen. Potential armor material detected. Bone glass plating residue. Collect samples. Try not to explode. I stared down the dark tunnel where Spinejaw had vanished. The monster had learned doors. It had learned light. Now it was learning people. I crouched and collected the shed plates. Mara watched me. You are very calm for someone being studied by a mutant. I'm not calm. No, I'm busy. That answer, more than any brave speech, made Mara steady herself. She touched the van, key clipped to my belt. Not taking it. Just checking that the line back to Haven was still there. Then tell me what to carry. I handed her the lightest bundle. June saw the exchange and said nothing. But her shotgun lowered a little. The call came through an hour before sunset. Not through zone chat. Through radio. Static first. Then a man's voice, rough with pain and stubbornness. Anybody on old service band 9? This is Tom Alvarez. Tow trucks stuck off County 18. Legs pinned. I got 2 of those glassback things sniffing around and about 12 minutes of battery before my light dies. June went still. Tom's real. Mara looked at her. Useful. Annoying. Which means useful, yes. I checked Haven's interface. We needed parts. Tires. Frame steel. A battery. Maybe a jack strong enough to lift the van's bad corner. A tow truck could mean all of that. It also meant leaving Haven again with Dax due back at sunset. Mara read my face. You are thinking person and parts. Both matter. Good. There was no judgment in it. That helped more than comfort would have. Nia pressed 2 fingers to her temple. I can ping. I shook my head. You already bled once. So has everyone. Mara looked at the girl. Hard, but not unkind. Small pings. Only when Eli asks. Nia nodded immediately. I glanced at Mara. She did not apologize for stepping into command. She should not have. So I said, good call. For reasons none of us had time to examine, Mara looked down first. Haven objected to the trip with 7 separate warnings, then unlocked the driver's door anyway. Mission logic. Tow vehicle parts may improve Haven mobility. Human rescue may improve morale. Risk, unpleasant. The service road was half blocked by storm debris. Ash rain had turned to hard, needling drizzle, and every ditch overflowed with black water. Road tacks still dragged at my legs, every step heavy, while Mara walked beside me with blood thread already trembling around her fingers. We found Tom under an old yellow tow truck, one leg trapped by a fallen tool chest. 60s. Broad shoulders. Gray beard. Furious at the world for interrupting his retirement. You Eli Ward? Yeah. Your van ugly as people say? Mara answered. Worse. Tom grinned through the pain. Then I want to see it. The glassbacks came before we could free him. Nia's voice crackled over the radio. Too close. One behind the truck. One under it. I dropped flat and saw claws under the chassis. I did not swing. I shoved the road flare under the truck and lit it. The creature recoiled into Mara's waiting thread. She pulled. I slammed the tire iron down, and Tom, still pinned, grabbed a loose wrench and hit the thing in the eye until it stopped moving. Good, Tom gasped. Still useful. I freed his leg with the jack, then stripped the truck faster than Tom expected and slower than Haven would have liked. Spare tire. Steel brackets. Heavy cable. Old winch motor. Battery pack. 3 tools I touched like treasure. Tom watched me work. That van frame, he said. It ain't normal, is it? I paused. No. Didn't think so. Saw one like it once in a military recovery yard. Except that one didn't have a magic dashboard, I'm guessing. Mara looked at me. I looked at Tom. You want shelter or conversation? Shelter. Conversation after coffee. When we got back, Haven scanned the parts. Mobility repair possible. Structural patch possible. Comfort improvement possible. New occupant detected. Tom Alvarez. Condition, damaged but loud. Tom leaned on my shoulder and squinted at the dashboard. Your van has manners. Incorrect. June laughed for the first time. Short, but inside that cramped, cold van, it sounded almost like a wall going up against the dark. The moment Tom crossed Haven's threshold, the system made it public. Rescue contribution updated. Player, Eli Ward. Confirmed rescues, 3. Rank increase, 97-31. I stared at the number. That seems excessive. Mara, sitting beside me now instead of behind me, said, People are dying fast. No one answered. The silence after that was heavier than the storm. Then another board opened. Settlement rank. 1. Fort Mercy, capacity 146, access, restricted. 2. Redline Depot, capacity 62, access, toll. 3. Haven 01, capacity 2, access, unstable. June barked a laugh. Capacity 2? There are 5 of us in here. Haven replied. Yes. Problem noted. Zone chat saw the update seconds later. General Iron Mike. Van guy jumped to settlement rank 3. Trade Cactus Jack. How is a van a settlement? Anonymous unknown. If it has clean water, I don't care. What it is. Recruitment Fort Mercy Scout. Eli Ward. Fort Mercy is willing to discuss integration. Anonymous Rooker. Integration means surrender with nicer words. General Ray of Thorns. Rooker sounds nervous. Dax answered too quickly. General Rooker, I control Pump 7. Eli is squatting on my claim and hoarding supplies. General Rooker, anyone heading there should know he has water and won't share. The chat shifted. Need did ugly things to people. 1 message asked for help. 3 asked for trade. 6 asked if I had coordinates. 2 threatened to come take water if I was hiding it. Mara watched my eyes move over each line. This is what he wants. I know. Do you? I looked at her. The van was cramped around us. Nia slept curled between supply bags. Tom's bad leg was propped on a toolbox. June counted food with the ruthless despair of someone who knew numbers could kill. Mara sat close enough that her shoulder almost touched mine, but she still held herself like she was waiting for permission to relax. I turned back to the board. If we hide, they still come. If we help everyone, they come faster. If we do nothing, we become the kind of place that locks kids in freezers. Mara's expression eased. Only for me. Then we need rules. Haven brightened the dashboard. Shelter governance recommended. Current leadership structure. Occupant 001, overburdened. Occupant 002, armed. Tom wheezed. It's not wrong. The system opened a storm warning. Environmental event. Pressure collapse. Projected effects. Low visibility, aggressive mutation, movement temperature drop. Shelter demand increase. As if summoned by the warning, someone pounded on the outside of the van. Not Dax. Not a monster. A woman sobbed through the rain. Please. My son is sick. Please, if you have water, please. I closed my eyes for half a second. Mara did not tell me no. This time, she said, your call. Haven's lock stayed closed, but the dashboard displayed a new prompt. Shelter protocol available. I opened the door with Mara standing behind me. That became the first rule without anyone saying it. Mercy did not stand alone. The woman outside nearly collapsed when the door slid open. She was soaked through, ash stuck to her hair and coat, holding a boy maybe 6 years old against her chest. His skin was too hot. His lips were cracked. He did not lift his head when the van light touched his face. Behind them, shapes moved at the edge of the lot. Not close yet. Close enough. Haven posted. Projected occupants, 7. Capacity, 2. Mathematical objection, strong. 1 night, I said. The woman nodded too fast. Anything. Please. Mara stepped forward. Knife. The woman blinked. What? Weapons. I have pepper spray. June muttered. That'll save us from pre-apocalypse purse crime. Mara held out her hand. The woman gave it over. I lifted the boy inside. He weighed almost nothing. That angered me more than it should have. Inside Haven, everyone shifted. Tom dragged his bad leg under him with a hiss. Nia gave up her blanket before anyone asked. June measured 1 cup of water with the expression of a woman cutting diamonds. I held the cup, then stopped. If I gave water to one person without rules, the next desperate survivor would demand the same. If I refused, the boy might die with clean water. 6 feet away. Mara touched my wrist. Not to stop me. To steady me. Say it first, she murmured. So I did. I spoke quietly, but everyone listened. No weapons pointed inside Haven. No stealing. No hiding bites. No opening doors without permission. No touching the water tank. No one goes outside alone. If you endanger the shelter, Mara removes you. Mara's eyes flicked to me at that. Then she stood straighter. Second in command was not a title yet, but it had found her anyway. The woman nodded. June nodded. Tom nodded. Nia nodded from under her blanket. Shelter protocol registered. Initial laws accepted. Authority structure updated. Occupant 001, shelter lead. Occupant 002, enforcement/defense. Mara read her line. Something like pride crossed her face, then vanished before anyone could tease her for it. I gave the boy water. He drank. Not much. Enough. His breathing eased 10 minutes later. Mercy bonus unlocked. No one left outside. Reward. Silver blueprint fragment. Module, window shutters. Spirit +1 settlement reputation, +25. Haven immediately added. Installing window shutters requires Metal panels, cable time, less rain would be appreciated. Tom looked at the parts pile. I can help with the cable. June lifted the shotgun. I can make sure no one eats the cable man. Nia whispered. I can ping. Mara looked at me, not asking if we should, waiting for me to decide where she was needed. The trust in it hit harder than Dax's threat had. I had wanted family in the quiet, shameful way people want things they think they are too old to need. I had buried the one under work, silence, and the habit of being useful without being held. Now there were too many people in a van too. Small for all of them, and every one of them was looking at me like my answer mattered. I did not know what to do with that, so I turned it into work. Tom, cable. June, door. Nia, short pings only. Mara, she stepped closer. I'm here. I nodded toward the dark lot. Keep them scared of coming in. Mara smiled. Soft for me. Terrible for anything outside. Yes. In zone chat, Dax posted one final message before sunset. Rooker, last chance Van Guy. Haven locked every door. Response recommendation. No. I selected send. Sunset came red and violent. The storm arrived with it. Rain hammered pump 7 so hard the old canopy shook. Red lightning crawled through the clouds without thunder at first. Silent veins across a sky that looked less like weather and more like a wound reopening. Haven's window shutters were half installed when Dax came back. He brought 7 people, 2 trucks, 1 hunting rifle, 3 melee classes, and enough fear dressed up as confidence to make the whole lot stink. Hostile group detected. Leader, Dax Rooker. Intent, forced entry. Haven added. Reminder. Current defense rating remains embarrassing. I tightened the last cable on the driver's side shutter. Noted. Dax's voice carried through the ring. Eli Ward. You made this harder than it had to be. June leaned beside the front counter with her shotgun. Men like that always say that after making it hard. Tom dragged the winch cable across the floor and clipped it to the old pump motor. Tell your van if this works. I want coffee. Coffee reserves. Tragic. Nia crouched under the dashboard, fingers pressed to her temples. They're spreading out. Mara stood near the side door with red thread coiled between her fingers. She looked at me. Only me. Say when. I looked at everyone once. June by the counter. Tom at the pump motor. Nia shaking under the dashboard. The mother holding her boy in the deepest corner of the van. Mara waiting. Haven humming around us. Ugly and stubborn and alive in every way that mattered. Now, Dax attacked like a man who wanted witnesses. He stepped into the lot and activated road tax again. The yellow field flaring bright enough to cut through the rain. 2 of his crew rushed the van. The new shutters slammed down over Haven's side windows and, instant before they arrived, 1 raider hit the metal face first. Window shutters installed. First impact result, satisfying. Mara opened the side door just enough for 1 thread to snap out. It wrapped around the second raider's wrist and yanked his knife into the mud. June fired above his head. He decided life had other opportunities and ran. For 3 minutes, the plan worked. I did not fight like the system wanted me to. I fought like a mechanic defending a broken machine. Doors, angles, light, cable, rain, other people's bad assumptions. I drove Haven forward 6 feet, then back 4, blocking the pump lane. I flashed headlights into a fighter's eyes. I slammed the bad bumper into Dax's hatchback and pinned it against a concrete post. Haven complained the entire time. Bumper strain, high. Driver aggression, surprising. Approval, pending. Then Nia screamed. Not from pain. From ping. Behind them. The storm went quiet for 1 heartbeat. Then the monsters arrived. Glassback scavengers poured from the station walls, the drainage ditch, the broken basement access. 6, 8, more. Their bone ridges flashed under red lightning as they hit Dax's crew from behind. Dax's perfect little takeover became a feeding ground. One of his men fired blindly. Another ran straight into the road tax field and fell. When his own slowed legs betrayed him, the hunting rifle cracked twice, then vanished under claws. I saw the larger shape last. Spinejaw walked through the rain like it owned every drop. It had grown. The core shard had changed it. Bone plates covered 1 shoulder. Its jaw had split farther back. 1 eye glowed red-black, not with magic exactly, but with a hungry kind of understanding. Elite mutation identified. Spinejaw. Threat rating, severe. Dax stumbled backward. What the hell is that? Mara opened Haven's side door fully. I looked at her. She said, "You protect the shelter." Her voice lowered. "I'll protect you." Then she stepped into the storm. Mara's blood hit the rain and became a weapon. Thread snapped from her palm, her wrist, her wounded shoulder. Red lines cut through the storm, catching glassbacks by the legs, jaws, ridged spines. She did not waste movement. Every step hurt her, so every step mattered. Zone chat exploded somewhere on Haven's dashboard. No one had time to read it. Spinejaw lunged for Dax first. Dax screamed and threw road tax at it like a net. Yellow lines wrapped the mutant's legs. For half a second, it slowed. Then it learned. Spinejaw bit into the glowing claim line and tore it apart. Dax fell backward so hard he lost his pistol. Mara caught Spinejaw's throat with 3 strands of crimson stitch. Before it could finish him, the mutant turned toward her. Recognition passed through its wrong red eye. It remembered the ambulance. It remembered the van. It remembered her blood. Mara pulled. The threads tightened. Spinejaw did not fall. It dragged her 3 feet through the mud. I saw her boots slide. I also saw Haven's dashboard. Shock pulse cooldown complete. Emergency use available. The van had no turret. No armor worth trusting. No real weapon besides 1 pulse and a frame 2. Stubborn to quit. I put it in drive. Haven's engine turned over with a sound like an old animal waking angry. Mobility condition, compromised. Recommended speed, cautious. I pressed the gas. Recommendation ignored. Noted. Haven lurched forward. Tom's winch cable snapped tight behind it, yanking the rigged pump motor into place. June fired at a glass back, climbing over the hood. Nia, nose bleeding, screamed, "Left." Core under the left plate. I turned the wheel. Haven hit Spinejaw broadside. The impact should have destroyed us. Maybe it almost did. The windshield cracked into a white spiderweb. The bumper folded. Every warning light went red. The mother screamed. Tom cursed. June fell against the counter. Nia covered her head. But Haven held. Mara's threads pinned Spinejaw's head across the hood. I slammed my palm onto the dashboard. Pulse. This time, Haven did not ask for confirmation. Blue light burst through the van's frame and into Spinejaw's body. The mutant convulsed. Its bone plates lifted. The left shoulder split open, exposing a black-red core pulsing beneath. Tom threw the pump motor switch. The rig line sparked. A controlled burst of fuel vapor ignited under Spinejaw's exposed side. Not an explosion. A flash hot enough to make the creature rear back. Mara moved with it. 1 thread wrapped around the exposed core. Her eyes met mine through the shattered windshield. For 1 second, she did not look hard. She looked certain. I nodded. Mara pulled. The core tore free. Spinejaw screamed. The sound hit the storm and broke something in it. Every glass back in the lot froze, then scattered into the rain as the elite mutation collapsed across Haven's hood. The system rang like a bell. Elite kill assist. Spinejaw defeated. Participants. Mara Voss, Eli Ward. Haven 01. Nia Brooks, Tom Alvarez, June Bell. Haven's name appeared with the people. No one laughed. Dax crawled toward the hatchback, 1 hand pressed to a bleeding bite in his side. He grabbed a supply crate that had fallen from the station door and tried to drag it with him. Mara turned. 1 red thread wrapped around his ankle. Dax went still. "Wait," he said. "Wait, I can pay." Mara looked at me. Rain ran down her face. Blood ran down her hand. Behind her, Haven sat smoking with Spinejaw dead across its hood. The choice was hers if she wanted it. She gave it to me. That trust was heavier than revenge. I stepped out of the van. The road tax field flickered weakly under my boots. Dax looked up at me. "You need people like me." I crouched and took the stolen crate from his hand. No. Everyone thought that ended it. Then I stood and looked toward the road. "Run." Dax stared. Mara's thread tightened. I said, "If you come back, she decides." Mara smiled then. Dax ran. Not well. Not proudly. But fast enough. Haven's dashboard flickered through the cracked glass. Mercy decision detected. Risk high. Occupant 002 approval, likely. Mara glanced at the screen. "Don't speak for me. Unverified." She looked at me. Her voice lowered so only I heard. It was the right call. Then her knees buckled. I caught her. This time, she let me. Morning came cold, wet, and quiet. Pump 7 was ruined. The front windows were gone. The canopy leaned over the pumps like a broken jaw. Dax's hatchback sat crushed against a post. Spinejaw's body had dissolved sometime before dawn, leaving bone glass plates, black ash, and one core pulsing faintly inside a sealed coffee tin because June refused to let it touch anything else. Haven looked worse. The windshield was a web of cracks. The bumper had folded inward. One headlight was dead. The new shutters were scratched to silver. Smoke still leaked from under the hood in thin, embarrassed wisps. But the doors locked. The water tank hummed. The food warmer worked. Warm air, weak but real, moved through the vents. And 7 people were alive. I sat in the driver's seat with one hand wrapped in bandage and the other resting on the steering wheel. I had not slept. None of us had slept much, except the sick boy, who had finally cooled enough to breathe easily against his mother's side. Mara slept with her head against the passenger door. Only for 20 minutes. But she slept. That mattered. I kept my eyes on the lot and let her have it. Haven's dashboard flickered. Post-siege diagnostic. Shelter integrity, 22%. Defense rating, 2. Water, operational. Food warmer, operational. Medical support, partially restored. Window shutters, operational. Armor patch material, available. Occupants protected, 7. Then, performance note. Current condition remains poor. However, the screen paused long enough that I looked at it. Assigned occupants protected. I read the line once. Then again, my grip tightened on the wheel. I looked away before anyone saw. Mara opened her eyes anyway. You're doing that thing. What thing? Pretending you don't care when you care too much. I did not answer. She shifted carefully and looked at the dashboard. It cares too. Haven turned off the passenger vent. Mara raised an eyebrow. The vent turned back on. June, from the back, said, "Did the van just lose an argument?" Tom answered from his corner. "Looks like." Nia, half asleep under 2 emergency blankets, whispered, "Haven." Everyone went quiet. The name had been floating around us all night. System label. Vehicle designation. Half joke. But from Nia, curled in the corner of a van. Too small to hold us and holding us anyway. Became something else. Not Haven 01. Haven. Then the system announced us. Zone achievement. Player, Eli Ward. Settlement unit, Haven 01. Achievement unlocked. First sanctuary established. Conditions met. Sheltered 5 or more occupants. Maintained clean water, repelled hostile human claim, defeated elite mutation. Maintained shelter integrity through environmental event. The reward screen unfolded. Rewards. Haven Draw X1. Settlement rank unlocked. Clan registration available. Title progress. Shelter lead. Module preview unlocked. Convoy core zone chat detonated. Zone achievement Eli Ward and Haven 01 have established the first. Recognized sanctuary in Zone 7. General Iron Mike. Wait. The van guy? General Ray of Thorns. The van guy. Trade Cactus Jack. Buying water. Real payment. Recruitment Fort Mercy Scout. Eli Ward. Formal invitation remains open. Anonymous Black Pump _actual. Cute shelter. Mara read the last line and went still. I saw it. Black Pump. June answered before Mara could. Bigger than Rooker. Meaner. If they're watching, he ran straight to them. Tom leaned back and winced. Good. Hate running out of enemies. No one laughed loudly, but several people almost did. That counted. The mother and her son left after sunrise with one bottle of water, a blanket, and directions to a safer drainage route. June knew. She offered me a necklace, then a ring, then anything she had. I refused all of it. She cried anyway and pressed a folded note into Nia's hand before leaving. Nia read it after they were gone. 2 words. Thank you. She taped it to Haven's inside wall with duct sealant. Haven did not complain about adhesive damage. I took that as proof the van liked it. By noon, the armor patches were installed over the worst exterior damage. Ugly strips of bone glass and steel bolted across weak points. But when the wind hit them, they hummed faintly instead of rattling. The interior changed too. Not much, but enough. The cot was reinforced. The storage shelf was higher. The water jug sat locked behind a metal guard. The food warmer was bolted in place. Tom patched the passenger vent. June wrote inventory numbers on tape strips. Nia drew a tiny, crooked house on the wall beside. The thank you note. Mara looked at the drawing. Then at me. A house. Nia, embarrassed, said, "It's stupid." I answered before anyone else could. No. One word. Quiet. Final. Nia smiled into her blanket. Mara watched me with an expression softer than the others. We're allowed to see. Haven's final screen opened as the engine coughed to life. Tier update. Haven 01 has advanced. Previous state, Rust van. Current state, Survival van. Active systems. Clean water basic medical support window shutters light armor patches food warmer. Emergency shock pulse basic scanner. Shelter protocol. Locked module. Convoy core. Requirements. Fuel steel settlement Alliance X1. I looked through the cracked windshield toward the road beyond Pump 7. The red aurora had faded, but it had not vanished. It hung pale above the mountains, waiting. Behind us, the station was no sanctuary anymore. Ahead of us, Redline Depot controlled the fuel. Black Pump had noticed. Spinejaw was dead, but the system had already proven monsters could evolve. The world had not become safer. Not even close. But inside Haven, there was clean water, warm air, a sleeping child, a shotgun by the door, a wounded woman. In the passenger seat, who trusted me enough to close her eyes, and a dashboard that flashed one last message. Before the engine settled. Route pending, shelter lead. Awaiting command. I rested my hand on the wheel. I did not smile. Not where anyone could see. Let's move. Haven rolled forward. It still rattled when the engine turned over. The windshield was still cracked. The armor was still more hope than steel. But for the first time since the red sky opened, people slept behind a locked door with clean water, warm air, and someone keeping watch. And somewhere in the dark, the rest of Zone 7 started learning what Dax Rooker had learned too late. The van was not weak. It was only small.